Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Court Podcast. This is your number one cricketing podcast where we talk all things South African cricket. You know, if you want to know what's going on in South African cricket, there's a game that happened last night. We're not going to talk about that because, it's really disappointing. But today we're going to talk about something amazing. Our women's team is on a historic tour to Pakistan. First time they're going there with a new captain, same old coach, but we don't know if there'll be rumblings in the dressing room. We won't know, but we'll see. But we wish them all the best. And so today we're going to be talking about that. But before we do anything, I don't do this alone. Tim's with me. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. Looking forward to the series, first for women's cricket. Yes, I think the less said about the protest men at the moment, the better.
That is for Monday. Monday. So today we've got a guest from Pakistan, like we always do. Before every series, last week we had Menas on to talk about Australia. Now we're going to come in and talk about the Pakistan women's team. Lots have changed. They've got a new captain. Okay, they do. They've got a new coach. That's we'll still talk about. But there's a lot happening. There's a lot of youngsters coming in from the Pakistan setup that we're going to be talking about. So we're excited to have Iman with us from Pakistan. Iman, where in Pakistan are you?
I'm in Karachi. I'm right where the series is happening, actually. So I'm in the most important city, the most populated city, the one that everyone hates, but we love. So.
Yes. Well, that's good to know. So yeah, next time I talk to someone from Pakistan, we'll say that. Thank you for joining us, Iman. Lots has changed since the World Cup. Pakistan's been on a whirlwind 2 years where you kind of felt like they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like I think from the qualifiers of the World Cup in 2020, that teams look like, we've seen some changes. We haven't seen many changes, but it seems like there hasn't been progress forward. Mm-hmm. Since the World Cup. How have things been looking? Obviously, this is probably the first game after the World Cup.
Yeah.
How is the Pakistan women's cricket team at this point in time?
Yeah, after the World Cup, it obviously wasn't the best campaign for us, or even close to, I think, the minimum expectations that we had for them is after that loss versus the West Indies. But we expected to see we were like, okay, we're going to chill. Now we're going to have the domestic season. We have the Emerging Asia Cup to look forward to. I was looking forward to seeing how the young girls are going to do because they were going to be selected then. And then we find out that our captain is resigning through a tweet at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Pakistan time. I was awake for God knows what reason, but I was awake and I was just looking at the screen like, what? And there was no press conference or there was nothing, and Bisma just up and left. And Bisma's not the kind of captain that up and leaves. So everyone was like, what's going on? But she said something about a younger captain. And listen, I love Bisma, but the words younger captain in Bisma's tweet, I was like, oh my gosh, we're moving forward. We're doing something great. And people started discussing, would it be Muniba, who's just scored a ton versus Ireland? She's captained our emerging side. Would it be Fatma Sana, who's 21? But she is a firecracker and she's really good. Her mind is really good. And she sets her field herself and she's quite good. And so people were like, could it be her? And then we find out that it's Nida Dar, who's older than Bisma. So clearly not the younger captain that Bisma spoke about. So there's a lot of drama happening. And then it doesn't after that. Mark Coles returns and everyone's like, well, he didn't leave on the best of terms. So, okay, he's back. And then he just up and leaves before we play a match even. And so in the time where we were supposed to chill and kind of be like, things are fine, it's just been one thing after another. So I think, honestly, I'm excited for the cricket season to start. I'm sick of off the field drama. I want more on the field drama, even if that means close games and kind of heart attacks in the last over. I'm fine with that. I don't want any more surprises off the field.
No more surprises off the field. I think you've given a really great summary of what's happened. And like I said, it's like a circle. You're like, you feel like you're going somewhere, but you're like, oh, well, we're back here again. I'm a fan of Nida Da. I think she really is a great cricketer, all-round cricketer, amazing cricketer. Obviously, standing on our side of the world, we didn't see the other drama that was happening at 2 a.m. And the younger captain and everything else. But let's talk about Nida Da, right? She has, in the last 2 years, she's been Pakistan's number one player. Makes sense to make her captain from everyone else outside of Pakistan. But the question's always been, right, giving your best player the captaincy, what's that going to happen to their game? Because when I look at Nida Da, it's a situation of it's Bisma, it's Nida. If Pakistan are in trouble, you give the ball to Nida Da, she'll take wickets or she'll slow everything down, right? And as a South African fan right now, tomorrow, that's what I'm going to be watching. I'm hoping that, it's not as catastrophic when she starts bowling. But give us a sense of what people thought. Obviously, because, yes, you didn't get a younger captain, but you got someone I would be like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. I think it was because she was our vice captain, and we know she's had experience with leadership. When Bisma's not around, it's the team turns to Nida. And even when Bisma is around, Bisma turns to Nida. She has that kind of presence. And we actually interviewed her for our podcast in December last year. And we even spoke to her in detail about what it's like to be that person who delivers 4 overs every T20 and 8 to 10 overs in an ODI, no matter where we're playing, and then also has to carry the team with the bat. And she talked about how her responsibility just makes her stronger and how she really uses that as motivation, where she never really lets the pressure get to her head, because she's like, this is it. This is what I was, this is what I was destined to do. This is what I want to do for the team. So giving someone with that kind of mental power and experience with vice captaincy, the captaincy, is a really good call. So a lot of I would say casual fans, or a lot of people outside, or even people in Pakistan, including myself, I was pretty happy. I was a little bit like, well, she's not younger, but I was like, this is a better call than several others that they could have made. So, and it's great to see. The thing about Nida Da as well is that she's really cool. You'll never really see her take a lot of attention. I think seeing her kind of upset on the field, like she was when we lost versus Sri Lanka last year in the semi-final of the Asia Cup, or even versus West Indies this year, that's the worst moment. That's when things have gone terribly wrong, because she doesn't get upset. She doesn't really let it get to her. She's kind of like ironclad in that sense. So giving her the captaincy, I think, was a good call at the end of the day. And it kind of gives you the sense that this Pakistan team is in transition. They weren't quite ready to give the younger captain the responsibility. They were more like, listen, we have an option over here that's going to carry the team for the next year and a half, maybe 2. Let's see. And then we're going to give it to the younger captain, which I think that is a good idea. It just made it confusing with Bisma's tweet in the process. But I'm pretty happy.
Sure. Tim's on mute.
Yes.
Okay, there you are. Quickly.
Okay. You talk there about transition. I think both sides are in a little bit of a transition. If you look at the South African national side, there's a lot talked about the players that have left for various reasons. Big hole on the side now with no Ismail on the side. Mpho and I think that actually going to Pakistan is actually going to do us a favour. If we were going to somewhere like Australia with this squad, we would really struggle. Just in terms of the transition where Pakistan is now, with no coach, what happened with the whole no coach situation? Is there anything that you can give us as to why that happened? Because we are now in a position where we've got senior players that also want a new coach. They want a new setup.
Yeah, no. I think that the way it's been the last few years, honestly, not even this year. If you look at the last few years, we had Marcos, and Marcos left,
Mm,
and then for a while we didn't have a coach, and then we got David Hemp, and then David Hemp left, and then for a while we didn't have a coach. In fact, I think we played the Asia Cup and the World Cup without a coach. And Salim Jaffer, who was our bowling coach, kind of took the reins a little bit. Uh, I don't know him very well, but results speak for themselves. We were kind of flailing, and
mm,
Marcos came back, and then he left, and now we're kind of in the
yeah.
same position. They did announce very, very recently, after they announced the squad, just like an interim coach and then a kind of group of people that are going to make sure things are kind of stabilized. So there's some new names in there. Our manager, for example, is Naida Khan, who is one of Pakistan's greatest
Mm,
players, and she gets along with the team really well, of course, because she's an ex-player, and I think that's a really good addition. I know that she'll be doing a lot of general duties and administrative work, but she has the kind of analytical mind and this kind of strategy that I do think she will be part of the think tank. Then you've got Mohtashim Rashid and Kamran Hussain. These are all coaches that
mm,
have been working in the domestic system for a long time. They have plenty of experience. So, this is kind of the series where um, you're going to see how Nida is as a captain, but you're also going to see how what have the coach has been working. But then it's also like they've just got here. I mean, how much could they have possibly taught our girls? And I'm hoping for the best, but I feel like at the end of this season, I think next March, April, May, I think that's
mm.
when our main series ends. Like all of them going to be done by then. I think then we can look back and see, well, did they make a difference? Hopefully, they're still around by then. I mean, knowing our record, they might not be, but I hope they are.
That's interesting because I'd understand having a new coach with an
Yeah.
experienced team, but this squad that's been announced has a lot of new faces and a lot
Yeah.
of, because when I looked at it, I was like, whoa, okay, there's a lot of people here who necessarily I haven't seen. Not saying that I watch Pakistani women's cricket that much, but there's a lot of players here who are sitting there going, oh, okay, they're not here. Glad to see Diana Beg is in. Javeria
Yeah.
Khan is no longer in here.
Yeah.
Sidra Nawaz is not here. Amima Hussain is on the bench.
Yep.
But we've got new faces, right? So
Yep.
talk to us through the new faces. There's some youngsters in there that might be exciting. And so, yeah, let's
Yeah.
give us a sense of what we're going to expect, because here's the thing. South Africa and Pakistan played each other for the past 6 years, once a year. So
Yeah.
there's a version of each team that everybody knows. But
Yeah.
this Pakistani team is a very different version to what
Yeah.
we as South Africans used to.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one, I mean, we've talked about so many reasons why this is important, but this series is also important because of the new girls, and that's the kind of concerted approach that Pakistan women's cricket is taking. They've been very kind of
Mm,
explicit about that we want to bring new girls on the side. That's what our goal is. We're expanding the pool. So the names that you should watch out for, and hopefully they're going to go well. I think they will. One is Shawal Zulfikar. She is brilliant. She is
mhm.
the T20 opener we have been waiting for. I think a combination of her with someone like Maniba, who's also quite explosive, although I would argue she hasn't quite lived up to her potential yet.
I'm going
But
to ask you
hopefully we
about
see more of that.
Maniba.
Yeah, see, everyone keeps talking about the 100. I've been following Maniba for a long time, and I will say I'm happy with the 100, but I want a lot more quick fire 50s. I'm really, really glad
Yes.
she got that 100. Honestly, it was massive, and no one deserves it more than her. But if you can hit a 6, tell me, why are you not hitting more of them? That's nothing to do with her. But Shawal, hopefully, will be the kind of accelerator that Muniba needs to really kick it into third and fourth gear all the time. Shawal's brilliant
Mm,
against both spin and pace, and a lot of Pakistani players don't play pace that well. So it's
yeah.
just really nice to see her do it, and I hope she can do it in this series. Obviously, it's not ideal that Shabnam Ismail won't be here. I feel like we have the worst luck with that because I was really looking forward to see her play.
Oh,
And
yes.
I would have liked to see Shawal face her as well. I feel like that would have been the real test.
Hmm.
But other than her, you've got Sayeda Roop Shah, who's a personal favorite of mine. She's making a comeback of sorts. I
Yeah,
don't
she's
really
been in
know
and out
her.
the team.
Yeah, she had her first stint, but she was so young. And now she's coming in as a proper player with experience. She's coming in on the back of domestic performances, under 19 performances, and the emerging Asia Cup. So she's a proper all-rounder, and she's quite young, so it's a bit early to say that. But I really truly believe not only can she turn the ball a mile, and she's giving Tuba Hassan, who's a starter in our team, proper competition, but she's also going to be key in our middle order. And she's a six hitter. I love six hitters in Pakistan. We don't have many of those. Yeah.
We also love six hitters here. I was looking at the training footage of the South African women. I'm like seeing the ladies double step. Delmi Tucker was double stepping. I was like, she hasn't done that in a while. And yeah, so yeah, we won sixes. It's T20, right? And 50 over cricket. So I'm excited because I think for me the question with Pakistan was always about that top order, right? And Muniba wasn't living up to her promise. And it's been, and it's all about the patience and that the selectors have given her. But then obviously you had Sidra Amin, who was at the top, but then you never got to see the best out of her and try to find what the best combination was. And I remember at the qualifiers in Zimbabwe, they just kept on swapping. So Muniba would be in, Sidra Amin would be coming out, and it'd be vice versa, and they weren't winning games. And then obviously you have that middle order. It's Bismarck, it's Nida. It was Javeria Khan, which is quite interesting. She's not there. So then the question obviously for me is, outside of that top order, who else are we looking at? Because if Pakistan's going to win games, you need people around Bismarck and Nida Da to take you over the line.
Yeah.
Who are those batters who are coming through? Because obviously now Javeria Khan's not there.
Yeah. No. I think Javeria's exclusion is a massive surprise to a lot of people, and the fact that we lost Aisha Naseem very recently as well to retirement is a pretty big blow as well, because she was not only like the future of our middle order, but pretty much for everyone, she was the present, she was the moment, she was what everyone looked forward to when we played T20s. So replacing her or kind of finding someone to help out Bisma and Nida in the middle was a massive ask. I want to believe that Fatma Sana, the way she's done, so she's been playing a lot of T20 cricket this year. Outside of the World Cup, she played Fairbreak, she played the Emerging Asia Cup, she played a lot of domestic games. And I'm hoping and praying that her batting form, which has been excellent, like 4s and 6s all over the place in the death overs, is kind of shows up for us at the international level. So, and she's also said this explicitly. She said very recently to a friend of mine who was visiting their practice, she said that I want to be an all-rounder for Pakistan, and that's who I am going to be. So I think Alia's form, while it hasn't been the greatest, we still rely a lot on her. But now it'll be on Fatma Sana to kind of show us in the death overs. She's really good against pace, kind of surprisingly good. I didn't honestly expect her to be able to read balls that quickly and that well and play on the back foot. But she's Fatma Sana. She pulls something out of her hat every single time we play.
She is the phenom, and to a certain extent, I think even with Shibnim out, obviously you always looked at South Africa's bowling lineup. We're like, okay, no, they can compete. But I think this is probably one of the start of the few series where we could have an argument about whether Pakistan's quicks are better than South Africa's, obviously, because Diana Baig is now back, and she, in the Shibnim mold, is that fast bowler, and you have Fatma Sana, who does exactly the same thing, bowls quick, and can terrify. Thinking is that where has that strengthened? Because obviously at the World Cup, that you could see was a massive miss. Diana coming back surely then gives you a chance at actually possibly even causing an upset against the South African team that made the World Cup final.
God, I should hope so. So losing Diana meant that, I mean, obviously we lost Diana. She had something with the ball at the beginning, at the end, and then even wicket taking in the middle. She's kind of the person that Bisma would go to. And then also kind of at the end of the tail, Diana can hit a ball really well. She's energetic in the field. She brought a lot to the team. So losing her meant losing a really important part of our side. But it also meant that Fatma Sana had a lot of pressure on her. And
Mm.
I would argue that it was far too much pressure for a 21-year-old, because she was opening games for us. She had to close them out, and you could see it was taking a toll on her. So I'm hoping that now that Diana's back, and she's been looking in excellent rhythm, by the way. I don't mean to brag, but her domestic season was
Oh, if
ridiculous.
there was a time, it would be here because this is what we allow our guests to do. Just we want you to brag about your team, so we know.
Yeah,
So when we watch you,
she's
we were like,
looking
oh, who Iman was talking about.
yeah, she's looking brilliant. So I'm hoping that now that Diana's back, that also helped Fatma a little bit. Obviously, it'll help the team, but it also help Fatma because she'll be able to be like, okay, I've got my partner back. I can kind of do my own thing, because Fatma does the more attacking kind of bowling, and she gets attacked in
Mm.
there, and Diana kind of controls, and she's got that experience and level-headed kind of calmness about her, and of course the advice and just the partnership on the field is really really important. So I'm hoping that yeah, I'm hoping for not just one upset but many. I want an entire series of upsets, to be honest.
No, 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 Iman. We don't want a series of upsets. No, we want Pakistan playing great cricket, but one upset's enough out of the three. You know, maybe then in the 50 overs we'll also give you a game. But and then I think let me bring Tim into here. Obviously, we are playing Karachi, Tim. So let's you now sorted out your
Yeah.
mic issues. That's great.
Yes, yes, yes. People who will be watching this will find this very funny. Paul kept telling me that there was something wrong with my mic for the first 20 minutes of the show. I switched the laptop off. I did all sorts of various things. I didn't plug this in. I didn't plug it in.
Okay. Yeah, it was like, it sounds like you're picking up sounds from many places. But anyway, Tim, yeah.
What I wanted to ask was, which is more important for Pakistan cricket at the moment in terms of which series? We talk about the men's purchase at the moment against Australia. Their important series is the ODIs more than the T20s. Which is more important from your perspective in terms of these two series?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna go a bit of a subjective opinion on this. I don't know if a lot of people will agree. I know that we need the points from the ODI series, and I know that the last time we faced South Africa, everyone kind of has that. Everyone in Pakistan, at least, has that kind of, we should have won that. I want to take revenge. I want us to do well. But I think the T20 series is incredibly important. The ODI setup is settled, or rather, we don't really have any new faces in there that kind of
Mm,
really need to make a case for themselves. It's everyone in the team that has done well, that deserves that call up. I think, except for maybe Javeria not being there, there's no real surprise there. But with T20s, you've got new faces, you've got new names. To
mm,
win T20, even if it's just a match or the series, who knows, with Shawal and Aroob and Anusha Nasir and Fatma Sana in her all-rounder era will be massive, because that will be a real indication that this team can go places and we're in the on the right path. And so while I want those ODI points, I'm going to be watching the T20s a lot more, with a lot more excitement, a lot more hope. And yeah, I would think those are more important for sure. Also, I feel like generally in women's cricket, unless you're right before the ODI World Cup, maybe in men's cricket too, T20s seem to matter a lot more. It's the format where the real systemic differences between teams matter less, and it's more
mm.
about those moments and how well you hold your own. And that's why Pakistan has kind of faltered, where we're in a winning position and we kind of just lose it. And so I would really like for them to make a case that when we are in those positions, we will see at home. And it's a lot easier to do in T20. So baby steps. I would say the T20 is a lot more important.
Yeah, because I think for me, when it comes to the Pakistan team, it's always a question of they're about 2 wickets away. And I think that they say it's that old cricket adage, but I
Yeah.
think this rings true for Pakistan in terms of they're always 2 wickets away from disaster, from a calamity. Um,
Yeah.
and and to a certain extent, yeah, I'd like for that, and that's what happened at the World Cup, right? In that West
Yeah.
Indies game, it was just like we're all plain sailing, and then it just all fell apart somewhere along the way.
Oh, that was sad.
Um, yes, but so looking at Karachi, obviously, the thing about South Africa, and I think this might be in Pakistan's favor, is that South Africa has never played in Pakistan before, right? So
Mhm.
they have experience of playing in India, but this isn't India. This is
Yeah.
Pakistan. right? And to a certain extent, South Africa with this new, slightly, it's also like a transformed team in terms of there's some people we'd like to see put their hands up now. Obviously, in the absence of Shubnam, in the absence of Danae, in the absence of even Chloe Tryon, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot of, like, similar to like Maniba, lots of promise. You've given us some moments, but not everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are the conditions going to play? Because to me, it feels as though Pakistan are going to be just showing us every spinner they have
Yeah.
when it comes to tomorrow and the series, largely because our ladies, yeah, might struggle and yeah. But so how are the conditions? Because I know some in Pakistan the pitch is a little bit more bouncier and can
Mm-hmm.
offer a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, no. So judging by what they said, obviously,
Mm,
I wish I had insider intel on this that I could share with you, but I don't. But judging by what they've said and kind of just the vibes of who they selected and who they've kind of like name dropped, it's gonna be spin friendly. It always is. I think we have to play to our
mm.
strengths. They even specifically said that Ummehani would be key, and that they're really excited for her to kind of make her way into the T20 squad.
Is
Ummehani is, of
she like a
course,
leg spinner
she's an off spinner.
or spinner? Okay.
Yeah, she's quite good. Yeah, and she's kind of, and she can hit as well, by the way, because she plays baseball for Pakistan as well, and she can
Oh,
hit the ball a mile. So she plays in the tail, but during the domestic season, we saw some stunning moments where she just whacked the ball, and then the sound was beautiful, and it was like, how did she do that? But yeah, I'm getting out. I do love sixes. Sorry, but
we
yeah,
all love sixes here.
yeah.
We
So
all
I
love
feel like
sixes.
spin friendly for sure. And
Okay.
I am a little bit wary of that. I feel like well, it's called National Bank Cricket Arena now, or
Mm,
I call it NSK. The NSK is not exactly kind of the place where you be like, oh, they're making spin friendly. If you really want to, you can. So I think they
okay.
will. I think they're going to try their absolute best to do that. I think that'll work in our favor as well. So I hope they do.
Okay, no, that's cool. Is there somebody in South Africa that you're worried about? That you look there and you're like, oh, they have a good series.
I'm
You
worried
really
about
like
the
to look
newest
at.
captain. I
Oh,
always
Laura.
Yeah, she's terrifying.
Laura, terrifying. She's a teddy bear. She's so nice.
You know, you look at her smile and you look at her coming out, and you're like, oh, she's so sweet. And then she's just gonna whack you around, and then you'll be like, and before that, Shabnam smile, obviously. I mean,
Yes.
she's done it so many times just recently. I'm a big fan of hers. I
Mm.
love watching her play. She did it at the World Cup. She did it at the 100. She just, the game's not quite in her team's favor, and then she'll come and bowl the last few overs, and she'll just turn it around.
Oh,
And
yes. 3 wickets in an over in that final
it's
over,
the
that hat
most,
trick.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we miss her.
It was
We
one
need
of
her
my
back.
favorite. It's just a moment.
She needs to do what Mark Coles did: go away, then come back, and then this time actually play games.
I wish,
Um,
honestly.
yeah, because I look at him like, okay, fine, I understand. Maybe you've been playing cricket for like 20 years at this level, but you still have a lot more to give. And the
Yeah,
issue for us is that we don't have somebody behind her who can crank it up as much as her. Ayabonga Kaka is amazing, but she's more of
yeah,
a fast medium bowler. Dumisi Kukune's issues is pace. She's more medium instead of fast. I know she's
yeah.
been working on being a lot more fast, but she's a lot skiddy, and I think she'll do well in this series, right?
She will.
And Nadine de Klerk needs to step up now. Sune Lease, without being a captain, you need to bowl more,
Yeah.
and also
Ooh.
give us something with the bat. And so we come in with a lot of questions, right? And I think Pakistan also has a lot of questions, which is amazing, right? Um, Tim, do you have any questions?
Just paint a picture of Pakistan winning both series.
How does that happen?
Outside of obviously the spin, how does that happen? How does that materialize?
Ooh. Well, you would need Visma to have a firecracker of both T20 and ODI series. And we would need, I think, in ODIs, it's a lot more straightforward in the sense that I don't get worried very easily in
Mm,
ODIs. It's the T20s that really freak me out. Because and ODIs, you've got Sidra Amin, who's brilliant with the bat. I think for all the talk about her T20 form, she has never disappointed me in ODIs. So I'm really excited to see her go, and I think that she would be key. It's never. I would say it's never really our bowling that lets us down. It's very rarely them. It's our batters that kind of underperform. So to win both series, what we need is everyone to step up at one point or another. We cannot at any point lose wickets in clusters. It's fine if Muniba gets out early, but the next person needs to be, just like get their eye in and get the game going. We cannot let the opposition take control. We cannot falter there. So I think the experienced players will definitely need to step up. And only when they do, when Bisma, Nida, even Alia step up, will the younger ones be able to be like, okay, someone on the other end is doing really well. I can kind of play my own game. So, that'll be key for us. Oh, God, I hope that happens.
Well, do you have any questions for us? Anything that you want to know about the South Africans that's been burning?
I like I said to you before this, I follow South Africa women's cricket quite closely as well. I have been following it since I got into women's cricket years ago, and I do it for the men's too. So they're probably top three. Yeah, they're probably my top three teams. I think it's Pakistan, and then I follow India quite closely when it's not Pakistan versus India, and then it's South Africa women's team. So I know quite a bit actually, but I'm super, super excited. I can't tell you. Like I watched Sri Lanka last year, I watched Ireland last year, but this one is massive. Like I can't tell you how much this means.
This is a big nation coming to Pakistan and playing cricket in stadiums we used to grow up watching Pakistan dominate teams on the main stage, and I think that's the most important thing, right? And I'm really glad that because the problem with I think South Africa and Pakistan is a question of when's the next game, and Pakistan could never invite people over, right? But now there's that opportunity for you to be able to do that, right?
Absolutely.
And I love it because now you get the opportunity to even now give other youngsters a chance, and I think for me that's more important, and it'll be interesting to see how those youngsters fare against South Africa. I'm excited. Every time we play Pakistan, there's always a new spinner. So I'm so excited to see Hani. I think I've said it correctly. And see how she goes. Nida Dar is amazing. I'm excited to see her because I've watched her carry Pakistan out of the jaws of defeat. So it's going to be quite interesting, and I think. What I can say is thank you for joining us and giving us a sense. We will have a recap episode once everything is done, just to discuss whether both if it's a upset, like a serious upset, or if it's something else. But good luck. I know the series starts tomorrow, so if everybody wants to catch it, please do. It's tomorrow. I think the next game is on the Sunday, and there's another game after that, and then they go into the ODI. So that's actually quite exciting. So Iman, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Iman.
Tim, that was a great interview. By the way things are going, I think South Africa might be in for a massive surprise. But yeah,
I think it's gonna be tough. I think if you set it on paper, we would win. But I think with the conditions and everything, and what Iman has put it out for us, in fact, in terms of what we expect to see, I think it's gonna be a tough one. I think it's gonna be tough.
But it's good. It's good. We need the competition.
Yeah, of course.
We're playing top tier cricket, and hopefully this is the step forward that they need to be able to get back into that little axis of like the top four. Because right now it's just India, South Africa, England, and Australia, and Pakistan's just hanging around there. They need it back. They need to make it a top five, and be as competitive as they can be. And they've got the talent, which is something that many countries do not have. To all our fans, enjoy the cricket, enjoy the weekend. There's lots of cricket on the go. It started. We've got games. That's the exciting thing about September in South Africa. So
both men and women.
Yes. We'll be back next week talking women's cricket to see how the Proteas women are doing, as well as what's happening in Durban. Because what happened last night needs a couple of days to talk about. But yeah, Tim, thank you very much. To Iman, thank you very much again. The Momentum Proteas or the Proteas women, good luck. It's going to be tough. Enjoy it and lesale kakahiso.